Good morning, everybody. It's Pastor John with another edition of Monday Morning Quarterback. So yesterday we talked about humility. And what I said basically was that humility is the key that opens doors to love. Humility is the key that opens doors to true power. Humility is the key that opens the door to abundant life. And I was very intentional in the sermon yesterday to distinguish between humility and self-abasement. Those are two different things, and I think part of the problem is we confuse those things too much. I'm not going to go into the details of what I said, but if you're interested, I gave a pretty detailed analysis about the difference between community and self-abasement, and you can check out that sermon on our YouTube channel as well. So that can give you some details if that interests you at all. But in the gospel lesson that we read yesterday, Jesus was having a meal at the house of a leader of the Pharisees. And we see people at that meal acting completely without humility. The guests at the meal, Luke writes, picked the places of honor at the table. And they did this in order to elevate their own status. So what they did was they sat as close as they possibly could to the host of the meal, because those were the seats considered to be of most honor. And in this story that Luke writes, they were kind of jockeying for those positions of honor. So if we're not sure what humility looks like all the time, we can look to this story to find out at least what it doesn't look like, because these people were acting completely without humility. And when I was thinking about this story, and I didn't include this in my sermon, but when I was thinking about this story, it reminded me of something that happened to me years ago. I was in an amusement park, and I saw a person walking towards me, and they had words on their shirt. And I'm just telling you right now, if you have words on your shirt, I'm always going to read them. I'm always curious, what kind of causes people are advocating for, in their clothing. So I'm going to read them. So as this person walked towards me, I noticed that the front of their shirt said, "Great news, scientists have actually located the center of the universe. And guess what?" And it's followed by ellipses, And so kind of wondering what the punchline was. And I had to wait till they walked past me. And after they walked past me, I turned around and looked at the back of the shirt. And the back of the shirt said, "You're not it." So the shirt basically read, "Great news. Scientists have actually located the center of the universe. And guess what? You're not it." They found the center of the universe, and you're not it. I mean, we laugh at the punchline, but isn't that kind of how we act sometimes? The guests at the table at the meal where Jesus was invited, they were jockeying for positions, and in doing so, it revealed that all too human tendency that many of us have to place ourselves at the center of the story, to cast ourselves as the star of the story, and maybe cast Jesus in a supporting role. We fit Jesus into our worldview, and when it's convenient and when it fits into our view of things. But if we would courageously allow our worldview to be shaped by our relationship to Jesus, with him at the center, I think that we would experience a spiritual awakening greater than any honor that we can create for ourselves. I believe that culturally we are stuck. We approach most of our days as if we have two options. The first option, if we want to be a good person, the first option is not humility. It's, as I said earlier, it's self-abasement. We put ourselves down. We treat ourselves as worthless. We let people do whatever they want to us, etc., etc., etc. Unfortunately, the only other choice we allow for ourselves is self-importance, sometimes bordering on arrogance. we have not yet learned the subtle nuance of living humbly because we have a twisted understanding of what humility means. And so, we're stuck in this false choices that we create where it's self-abasement or self-importance. And there's no middle ground. And the middle ground is where Jesus lived. And humility is something entirely different than either of those choices. If we want to walk with Jesus, we must learn that third way. Because humility elevates everyone, but no one higher than someone else. I hope you have a wonderful week, my friends. God bless.